Okay, so I just wanted to create a little video to go along with my blog post on how I edit photos for Instagram. So the first thing I've done is take, let's see, 14 photos of the sock that I'm working on. And I'm going to go through them and pick the one that I think looks best. You can see I have taken some photos that are from above, some from the sides, at different angles, focusing on different parts. So I have a lot of options. You don't want to just take one photo, then be stuck with it or have to go back and take more. So take a whole bunch and go through and pick which one you like best. So let's see. That one's okay. I don't care for this one. So we'll delete that. What's next? No, that one's no good. That one's okay, maybe. That one I like. Let's see, these are pretty similar and I like the second one best, so I'm going to go ahead and delete the first one. And then these are almost identical. I probably don't need two of those. So I'll keep the second one because you can see in the first one there's a tiny bit of background in the way. I don't like that. No, I don't think that's what I want. No. That's clearly no good. That one's okay. I like that one. I like that one better, so let's go back and delete the first one. No. Okay, so let's see. I've narrowed it down to 5. All right, so I've gone from 14 to 5. That's pretty good. These two in the middle are very similar, so let's delete one of those. I'm going to delete the first one. All right, now I'm down to 4. So let's look at them again. This is a flat lay from overhead. This is an angled shot from the front. This one has some nice light on the ball of yarn. This one, I think that one's too close. Okay, now I'm going to delete the flat lay. I don't like that as much. You can't see the llama mug. So now I've got it down to 2. I think we will go with, it's a tough call. I think we'll go with the first one, but I'm going to save the second one in case I change my mind. All right, so now I've picked my photo and I need to edit. Okay, so these are the different apps that I use to edit. The ones I'm going to use today are Aviary and Afterlight, both of which are free with in-app purchases if you're so inclined. All right, so here's my photo. It's already the right size. I set the phone to take a square photo, so I don't have to do anything there. The first thing I'm going to do is to adjust the brightness. I've got a lot of light in the upper right-hand corner, less so in the bottom left. So I'm going to adjust the brightness just a bit. And then the next thing I do is to bump up the saturation. Make the colors look brighter. And then, see, if you take the contrast down, it doesn't look as sharp. So I'm actually going to pump the contrast up just a little bit. Doesn't need a lot more. Okay, then I'm going to mess with the warmth. We've got a lot of natural light, so it's already pretty warm. If I move the slider to the right, you can see it gets more and more golden yellow, and to the left, more blue. So what I'm going to do is bump up the warmth just a teeny bit, because it's already, as I said, pretty warm with the natural light coming in. Since this is a nice bright sock yarn, I'm just going to kick the vibrancy up a tiny bit as well. And now we go to highlights. We've already got a lot of highlights up here in the top right corner. If we bump the highlights up, it kind of washes that out even more. So it also makes the mug look a little nicer with the highlights. But since it's already so bright, I am only going to bump the highlights up just a teensy bit to 5 to give the mug a little bit more brightness. And now shadows. If you push that to the right, you can see it eliminates shadows. Sometimes you want that, and if you push it to the left, it increases the shadows. I actually want to increase the shadows a little bit here, so I'm going to move it to the left just a smidge. And now the tint, if we push that to the right, it's going to make everything more pink. And to the left, it makes everything more sort of a greenish yellow. I am almost never go to the left. I usually go to the right just a little bit. All right. And then what you can do is press on your picture to see the difference. So you can see my picture looks just a little bit brighter. Not much has changed in the upper right-hand corner where the ball of yarn is, but you can see that before the sock and the mug themselves were a little bit darker, and so now you get a little bit more brightness. All right, so that's the first step on aviary. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try this. I might not ultimately save it this way. I'm using a backdrop from Ink and Elm Backdrops that has lines on it, and they look a little bit crooked to me, so I can straighten that a little bit if it really bothers me. So I don't think it really needs a lot of straightening. It looks pretty good. It looks slightly crooked, but that kind of looks a little bit straighter to me. Another thing you can do is change how it sits vertically and horizontally. So horizontally would raise one side or the other, and vertical would raise the top or the bottom. So this can be a good tool if you're working on a flat lay and it didn't quite come out the way you want. Okay, so I fixed that a little bit. That's not a major change. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to bump up the sharpness just a bit so we get a lot of stitch definition. And then the last thing I'm going to do is mess with the focus. You see a lot of pictures on Instagram with that nice blurred background. A lot of times that is created taking the photo. If you are very close to the object, things in the background will start to blur. But another way to do it is to use this. You can either do a circle or a rectangular shape. I could focus on the sock and let the mug and the ball of yarn blur a little bit. I don't really want them to be blurry though, so what I'm going to do is make it a circle so that the mug and sock remain pretty clear. Then I'm going to shrink it a little bit so that just the outer edge of that yarn ball starts to blur a little bit. I think I might also pull this down just a little bit so that the same happens to the top left corner with the mug. All right, so now I've got a little bit of that blur going on in the background. And that is everything I am going to do with aviary. All right, so now I'm going to open my edited photo. You can see all the pictures of my kids in Afterlight. I use this just to give the picture a little bit more atmosphere, let's say. So the primary things, you can also make all of those adjustments that I made in Aviary here in Afterlight. I just prefer the layout and the way that Aviary works. So the functions that I use in Afterlight primarily are where this little square is, Dusty and Light Leak. Dusty gives a little bit of texture to your picture. I usually use 3 or 4. You can see it makes some, and again, you can press on the picture to see the difference. So here's the picture as it was. Here it is with this dust. And 4, I also like, sort of gives it a little bit of texture and a little bit of extra light. I think this time I'm going to go with 3. So I'm going to press this colored rainbow circle here, which is going to change the tone of the light, and see if I like any of these better than what I already have. But I'm going to leave it no numbers, and I'm just going to bump this down a little bit. What you can also do is use these squares here to change where that the dust and light are hitting the photo. So yeah, I'm going to switch it so that these light blips you see at the bottom of the square are up at the top. I like that better. Now let's try left and right. All right, I like this one. So, and I am going to just tone it down a little bit. So here's how it originally was. And so I just got a little bit of extra light and texture going on in the photo. So that's going to be my first step in Afterlight. And now I'm going to use Light Leak. Now I've already got a lot of light in this picture coming in from the window. But what I'm going to do is bump that up a little bit to maybe create some streaks of light on the photo. We'll see. You know, sometimes I play around with this and end up not using it. Something like that brightens up the photo a little bit. This, you know, gives you just a little blip of light up there at the top that you can see. Let's see, 21 is one of my favorite ones. Yeah, you can see that really lights up the top right corner even more. And sometimes I like 24. And again, you can press the rainbow to sort of change the color, change where the light is hitting by using the square boxes here. No, maybe. 29 is another one I use a lot. Now I've already got in this photo the natural light coming in from the window on the top right corner. So it would be silly to put, you know, more light streaking in from the left. That it visually doesn't make any sense. But for example, when your photo is pretty evenly lit all together, you can use these to make it seem like the light is coming in from one angle or the other, if that helps highlight your picture. All right, 31 gives a little streak at the top. I kind of like that. So I'm going to change the colors. 4, 5, 6 is usually more of a red-yellow. Tone that down a little bit. You can see it gives a little shot of color on the left-hand side and by the toe of the sock. Brightens up that orange on the ball of yarn. 7 is more of a red. All right, so I'm going to add that just to add a tiny bit of extra brightness to the photo. Like that. One last thing I might do is to use a filter. So to do that, I would go to this rainbow circle on the bottom. The first 3 sets of filters are free. I prefer the ones that are in seasons, and I'll just try some of them out and see if I like You know, I kind of like mulberry is one I tend to use a lot. It makes the picture look a bit warm, rustic. You can see the difference again if you press on the photo. So maybe, you know, I'll want to use that. Another one I usually like is Sailor, Grove, Reef. Thorn is sometimes one I use. It really just depends on the look that you're going for. Kind of like that. And again, you can, let me go back to mulberry, tone down the filter as well. So 100%, bring it down, and there. So now I have completely edited my photo. It's ready for Instagram. I'm going to save it, and then we'll compare the two photos. All right, so let's see what we've got. Here is the original photo. Here's what it looks like after I edited in Aviary. And here is the final result. So real quick, I'll delete the one in the middle. And now, original, edited. Original,